Shabbat Shalom. There was a writer, Stephanie Fallon, who was once in line at a coffee shop with her young child. The young child, as one is wont to do, knocked over the whole fridge of chocolate milk boxes and then threw another on the floor and created a huge mess. Two people in line responded. One person responded nicely. He smiled, he made jokes, and he tried to relate. And the other stranger didn't do anything at all. He said, "Come take my place in line," and then he went to clean up the spill. Later, Stephanie Fallon wrote, "The second person's act of kindness wasn't only taking over the spill and giving me his place in line. It was excusing me from any additional interaction in that highly charged moment, when I also had to calm my screaming child. The first person was perfectly nice, but the second person was kind. There's an important distinction between being nice and being kind. Fallon explains it this way. Being pleasant and agreeable are tonal qualities, adjectives that describe the way that something is done, but not the act itself. Generosity and consideration, on the other hand, are the actions. Being nice is about being pleasant, agreeable, and conflict avoidant. Being nice is smiling through discomfort, prioritizing smoothness over truth. But being kind is difficult. Kindness sometimes means having hard conversations. Kindness means showing up when it's inconvenient. It means giving up your place in line. It means giving when it costs something. It means staying present when you'd rather turn away. Judaism doesn't ask us to be nice. It asks us to practice chesed, loving kindness, which is far more demanding, but also far more transformative than niceness could ever be. And one of the most paradigmatic examples of chesed appears in this week's Torah portion. Rebekah's kindness begins when Abraham's servant, Eliezer, sets to find a wife for Isaac. Eliezer arrives at a well and prays for a sign, not a sign of beauty or wealth or noble lineage or even a nice woman, as you might expect. He asks that the woman be revealed through an act of chesed, an act of loving kindness. As he's speaking, the Torah tells us that Rebekah, a beautiful woman, appears to give Eliezer water to drink, and not just for Eliezer, but also for his camels. In this paradigm of nice versus kind, it could have been nice for Rebekah to just greet Eliezer, or maybe even just give one cup of water. But she went the extra mile to give Eliezer and his camels what they needed. And this was no small task. The Midrash teaches that Rebekah intentionally came out before Eliezer finished his prayer, because she was one who was always prepared to do mitzvot. She was trained to always do mitzvot. She wasn't reacting. Instead, she was ready. Commentators have long understood that Rebekah's kindness wasn't spontaneous. It reflects that she had cultivated an instinct to see another person's needs and to move towards it without hesitation. In fact, the Netziv explains that Rebekah had trained herself to notice travelers from afar, to anticipate their needs before they arrived. This wasn't reflexive politeness. It was a practiced discipline of awareness and readiness to serve. And it wasn't just about Rebekah's lack of hesitation. The text tells us differently. It tells us that she literally runs, using the word ratzah, back and forth to the well, to make sure that the water got to Eliezer and each camel as quickly as possible. The verb appears 3 times in just a few verses. She runs down to the well. She runs back to draw more water, and then she hurries to empty her jar. We're taught that repetition like this in the Torah is purposeful. She wasn't just checking off an obligation. She was genuinely concerned about the thirst of those in front of her. And her acts, if we look at the broader context of the world she lived in, were extraordinary. Approaching a strange man at a well wasn't considered appropriate behavior for an unmarried young woman in the ancient Near East. The Talmud describes wells as public, male-dominated spaces where travelers and shepherds negotiated. Rebecca steps directly into that space, past any fear of impropriety or acts. She wanted to be married, but she risked her very reputation of marriage and safety. She acted alone, even in a culture where a woman's worth was tied to her modesty and her family's honor. Her kindness crosses boundaries. It challenges norms. It risks misunderstanding. In that sense, Rebecca's chesed is not nice at all. It's actually brave. But perhaps most telling is what Rebecca didn't do. She didn't announce her generosity. She didn't wait for thanks. She didn't seek approval from anyone watching. We read that Eliezer watched her in silence. In fact, the Sfat Emet teaches, and by the way, if you want to learn Sfat Emet teachings, you can join us on Wednesday mornings, that the highest form of chesed is behatznei'ah, in hiddenness, without need for recognition or praise. Her kindness is pure because she expects nothing in return. I'll be the first to admit that Rebecca's kindness is one that seems pretty hard to achieve, especially in our day-to-day life. But her lesson remains true, and it's one that rings in my head all year long. It's kinder to be kind and not just nice. And chesed, loving kindness, it's not a personality trait. It's something we can practice. It's something we train for and think about and sometimes do wrong. And it's something that we have to think about practicing. So I wanted to share some things I think about when it comes to practicing kindness. The first is to practice awareness instead of politeness. Nice people want interactions to feel smooth. Kind people pay attention to what the person in front of them actually needs. Rebecca notices the traveler before her. She sees the camel's thirst before anything else. Kindness begins with noticing. It starts with asking, what's really needed here? Not, how do I avoid awkwardness? We can also think about choosing courage over comfort. To be nice is to stay within the lines nicely drawn for us. It's to avoid conflicts. It protects our own social safety. But Rebecca doesn't do this. She breaks norms. She crosses boundaries, and she risks misunderstanding. She steps into a male-dominated space. She approaches a stranger. She acts decisively, and her kindness could really cost her something. Kindness is rarely comfortable. It means speaking up. It means entering a hard moment or taking a risk for someone's well-being. And the third is to give quietly without needing to be seen. And this is also countercultural. Rebecca never narrates her goodness. She doesn't wait for gratitude. She doesn't announce or justify or document it, but she does get rewarded in the marriage she will soon have. This gets us back to the Sfat Emet's teaching. Why is his highest form of chesed doing chesed in hiddenness, when generosity is so genuine that it needs no witnesses? And it's because kindness is not about performance. If niceness is about tone, then kindness is about integrity. Kindness is about meeting needs. It's about prioritizing responsibility. It's disruptive, but it's also transformative. Rebecca teaches us that chesed is not the path of least resistance. It's the most courageous way to use our humanity. And so let's do it together. Shabbat Shalom.